Hi everyone, my name is Valery Saul and I am a conducting fellow here at the festival, and I am so excited to give a talk on our final concert of the season on July 20th entitled An American in Paris. American composer George Gershwin was born in Brooklyn in 1898. With his brother Ira Gershwin, George Gershwin would write some of the most celebrated and successful Broadway shows throughout the 1920s and the 1930s. Conductor Paul Whitman had commissioned George Gershwin to write orchestral pieces utilizing jazz elements that were very popular to the audiences attending concerts by Whitman's orchestra. These concerts first presented An American in Paris and also A Rhapsody in Blue. By 1935, Gershwin's interest turned more towards serious music. It was then that he composed his opera, Porgy and Bess, based on the novel by Du Bois-Haywood. It was received with very mixed reviews and excited a bit of controversy, but has nevertheless remained a staple in the musical theater repertory to this day. By 1937, Gershwin was experiencing increasingly severe headaches and dizzy spells. He collapsed into a coma caused by a brain tumor on July 9th, and he had died on July the 11th, 1937, at the age of 38. An American in Paris premiered at Carnegie Hall on December 13th, 1928 with the New York Philharmonic. In March of 1928, the Gershwins traveled to Europe, and during their 3 months abroad, George Gershwin hoped to complete an orchestral work he had pondered since returning from a 1926 visit to Paris. Inspired by the sounds of taxi horns along the Paris boulevard, Gershwin and his friend Mabel Schirmer went shopping for those iconic taxi horns in the automobile shops along the Avenue de la Grande Armée, and he returned home to incorporate those 4 taxi horns into his symphonic poem. In 1951, Gene Kelly turned An American in Paris into a cinematic ballet of his Academy Award-winning film of the same name. Born in France in 1862, Claude Debussy was the creator and the leading exponent of French musical impressionism. At the age of 10, he entered the Paris Conservatory, where he studied both piano and composition. In 1894, his cantata, The Prodigal Son, won the coveted Grand Prix de Rome. From 1887 on, Debussy decided to confine his musical activity to mostly composition. He enjoyed the company of leading impressionist poets and painters. His music is deeply influenced by those painters and poets. You can hear it especially in his first or best-known orchestral work, Prelude, Afternoon of the Faun. This work established the style of Impressionist music, which lasted nearly 20 years. About 1910, Debussy developed cancer, which extinguished his abilities to write music, and later he died in Paris in 1918. Debussy's Trois Nocturnes, or 3 Nocturnes, were inspired by a set of paintings from the 1870s by American painter James McNeill Whistler. I highly suggest that you go online and you see the paintings yourself, these 3 paintings by Whistler, because like the paintings, these 3 nocturnes, the music is very atmospheric and dark and nocturnal. In the last movement, called Sirène, we get to hear our acclaimed Bellingham Festival Chorus our women's chorus, in fact, led by Wendy Bloom, and they will join forces with our wonderful festival orchestra. I have the great honor and pleasure of getting to conduct Germaine Tailleferre's Petite Suite, or Little Suite. Germaine Tailleferre was a French composer and the only woman composer and member of the group of famous French composers known as Les Six. She was born in 1892 and she died in 1983. Despite financial challenges and a difficult emotional life, Tailleferre has left us music that is full of charm. Influenced by Ravel, who helped improve her orchestral writing, she gave a large role to the winds and resorted to rarely heard sonorities with the harp, celesta, xylophone, and muted trumpet. You will hear echoes of Debussy, a mysterious Sicilian in the second movement, and the work's finale orchestrates the French traditional song Les Filles de La Rochelle. Gabriel Faure was a prominent French pianist and composer, recognized as one of the most significant figures in the evolution of French music during the late 19th century and early 20th century. Born in France in 1845, Gabriel Faure's compositions included acclaimed choral works such as his Cantique de Jean Racine, his Requiem, and of course his Pavane. Pavane is a 16th century Italian dance, and in Faure's 19th century incarnation, it is a slow processional. And the melody, this beautiful melody that you're going to hear, first played by the flute, and then by the clarinet, and then by the oboe, is the chief melodic idea of this piece. Faure wrote an optional choral part into the score, and lucky for us, we get to hear our festival chorus perform with our orchestra one more time. Lastly, we finish our concert with another work by George Gershwin, his Porgy and Bess symphonic picture. It is a 1942 orchestral medley that was arranged by George Gershwin's good friend, Robert Russell Bennett, and it includes some of the best-known hits from the opera, such as Summertime, Bess You Is My Woman, and It Ain't Necessarily So. Thank you for listening in to this talk, and I can't wait to see you in person.